Hello everyone. First of all, we've just had a coffee break. We're coming towards lunch. I'm going to ask everyone to stand up. Get some energy back in the room. I've printed this from someone else. Everyone hold your hands out like this. Okay. Now bring your hands together like this. If you have your right thumb over your left thumb, you're great at bed. If you've got your left thumb over your right thumb, you're great at BIM. Hold your hands down again. Now bring them back together with the opposite thumb on top. How did that feel? Strange. That's a change. Okay? This is what we're talking about today. This has been a big change in industry. Okay. So, I'm Alex Lubbock, BIM Development Manager for Carillion. This was the scale. Dave, can we include that next year?
I'm not sure it can be included, yeah.
That was, of course, all rubbish. Yeah. Well, hopefully I've appealed to 100% of the audience, at least today. This is the scale of the change. Carillion business is made up of circa 48,000 people. 20,000 of those operate in the UK currently, and about 5,000 in our Carillion Construction Services business. We have an HR split by job family, for those of you who work under that kind of approach, if that helps, design management functions, planning functions, commercial, etc. We spend 70 to 80% of our construction turnover through our supply chain. Okay. And we've only had one directly employed person for BIM till about the middle of last year, and that was me. So that was the scale of the change. So how did I approach this? And if everyone wants to challenge me on John Cotter, come and see me afterwards. But this is John Cotter's 8 steps to change. I can show you some stuff I did years and years ago thinking about this. Have I kind of tracked that through? Not as kind of diligently as you might expect from an academic perspective, but it was certainly the way I thought about this in terms of people in our organisation. So we needed to create a sense of urgency. So to a certain extent, the BIM mandate did that for us. But from an internal point of view, that wasn't where that needed to end. We needed to pull together a guiding team to lead on this. That meant an eclectic mix of people across our organisation. We needed to develop a change and vision strategy, communicate for understanding and buy-in, empower others to act, produce short-term wins. Really, really key thing, I think, around this. Not been enough short-term wins visible in industry in all sectors around this subject. Don't let up and be relentless. I'm still here today. Okay, so I'm keeping on trying. And create a new culture. Now, creating a new culture in an organisation of 48,000 people when you are one is a very, very different kind of challenge. So, here's the Lubbock hype cycle. Please excuse the spelling on disillusionment. In 2011, the construction strategy came about. Carillion Business started asking our design management function to start having a look at this part of their day job. They soon ended up in the valley of death. I think the trigger for my role in 2013 coming about was, I believe we lost a bid or felt very uncomfortable at answering a bid question around BIM with some very sophisticated requirements for something in 2013. So I took on the role. Fantastic. Took our company to the peak of exuberance in 2014. Everyone delighted and excited. And I would say last year, 2015, I kind of felt like at an industry level, a company level, and an individual level, a lot of disillusionment around this. But I really do feel like we're stepping now. Now we're over Monday. We're kind of starting to step forward in the right direction. Okay, we're starting to talk about other technologies, other ways of managing information. How does this principle apply? These are not actually that new ideas. Okay, so people are starting to get that, and we're now moving to a space where this is becoming about more real company value and real value for our customers. Just quickly on that trough of disillusionment. This is a Kano model for those of you who've done any lean. 2015, one of the key challenges around that was the disparate level of procurement capability, the higher level of confusion, how we ended up being stretched a little bit like a rubber band, okay? Where people were trying to take competitive advantage, whether they were a technology vendor, whether they were a contractor, whether they were a supplier, by demonstrating new capability, new change. We had to respond to that through our people in all our sectors. But in all those same sectors, we had people still traditionally procuring their contracts under design and build or traditional procurement methodology with no thought about BIM. Okay, so we were getting pulled and stretched, and we had to respond to that. And that was very, very difficult to get into any kind of standard operating model, any standard approach to how we support our people to move forward. Quick flash up. That was our guiding team in 2014. I'm a big project management lover, so portfolio and program at the top there, project delivery in the middle, and our support services down the bottom. That is a fairly eclectic mix of our entire UK operations through design management, planning, commercial, operations, work winning, various different functions in the back office as well. So our strategy and vision for change for our people was about making tomorrow a better place through greater collaboration and integration. Pardon for the corporate bit at the start. That is our corporate vision, making tomorrow a better place. Okay? And it was about how we align ourselves from a communications point of view to our corporate vision and get people to buy into that approach. BIM capability. So our people, this is a very simplistic diagram, but this is how we have assessed the competence of the people in our organisation. We traditionally, in the first year or two, just assumed everyone was at zero, basically, that there was no competence, no awareness, and tried to take it from that point forward. Okay? And this is how we develop our training plans with our projects, develop people capability across our job families, and this is also a model that we're starting to use in our supply chain as well. Not everyone learns the same way. Now, I'm not sure which of these learning approaches I really love, but I do like a mix of all of them. And that's been quite difficult to come by in certain instances. So we started to try to build up an approach which covers all of these, so it's as audience appropriate as possible. So from a visual perspective, we're still doing demonstrations, show and tell across the business. From an oral perspective, we're using videos that come with things like music and engaging things that prick people's ears up and make them actually hear what you're trying to say. From a verbal perspective, we're presenting to people, exalting the benefits still across the business. From a physical perspective, we started to work with people like Lego Education recently. Not necessarily so much in the BIM space, but starting to use physical things, physical products to encourage people to engage with the change with something that they just really understand. And let's face it, we all love Lego. The tutor-led aspect, clearly we worked with, it's been quite easy to kind of develop relationships with various different software vendors and training providers in this space because they've been very visible in terms of selling to the market. So we've had that kind of tutor-led approach, both from an internal and external point of view. Workshops, and also the solitary stuff. There's a lot of people out there that are great at just going away and trying and testing and pushing. So being able to give them the tools to make them able to do that has been really important. Communication. This is something I'll come back to a little bit later, but there's probably been four approaches for this. We need to be able to do that at a mass level, okay? That's things like blanket email, social media, intranet sites, people that can go and pick up and see that straight away. From a conference perspective, this is the kind of conference audience we're talking about. Being able to kind of demonstrate to a large group of people and get them engaged with BIM. From a classroom perspective, we're starting to get into more sort of technical workshop-led approaches, like the special interest groups, etc., for MOJ, DIO, etc. And on a one-to-one level, we need to be available for people to pick up the phone, call us over Skype, come and see us, get a meeting, and just chat through some of the pain, okay? Because chances are some of the people in the business have already gone through that, and we start to kind of manage knowledge in a better way. You see at the bottom, I've got guys going across our business this week, including myself. This is a whistle-stop tour in Watford today. We're just going around and doing BIM awareness again. Okay, just making sure that our buildings, our infrastructure, rail, civil engineering, highways, services, FM, any department that will kind of have us, comes and engages with us and understands once and for all, and brings to a baseline a nice little closure to that sort of level 1 stage of awareness of BIM. So, how have we had to approach it with the people we've got? First of all, we've got to make them able from being unable. 2011, they were unable. Today, they're able. So we've got systems and processes in place to support them to deliver that. The bigger challenge is to take people from being unwilling to willing. Now, there are a lot of people that already sit in that willing space. But how do you take those people from being unwilling to willing? Take them through the change curve. Some of you have seen this kind of diagram in far more beautifully aesthetic visuals previously. I would say that there are probably 10% of the people in our business, if I was to guess today, that are still in denial. I'm not bothered about them. They will either get on board or not now. We've probably got about 25% of people committed and a similar number in exploring. But we still have probably 40% of the people in our organisation that are just resisting this change for a number of factors. Confusion in around how we've been procured, defining those standards, but the level of acceleration of our customers now is helping to move people from a contract deliverable perspective from resistance to exploration. And also, the complexity of the transaction. We've had a huge focus in the construction environment around BIM in terms of project delivery. Construction projects tend to have a delivery time at the scale that we work of at least a year, 18 months, up to anything that could be 4 or 5 years. These people are already engaged in contracts. They're already engaged in a way of working. They're already engaged in a way of standardising their reporting and what they need to hand over to that customer. So they just haven't fallen upon a BIM project to date, that's all. So there's been a real lag in terms of that approach. So what we've tried to do is get some of our FM projects starting to think about this. Very quick, high volume, low valuable, repeatable elements of work. Okay? Where were the quick wins? How do we establish the quick wins? We already had some projects on the ground when I took up my role in 2013. Pilot projects as they were. The quick wins for me were actually going out and engaging people, whether that was internally, externally, just getting in front of people. Every single senior management team across our UK operations I presented to within 2014 and 13. That was no mean feat just getting in the diary, let alone actually presenting to these guys. 1 million one-to-ones at every single level in our organisation, from chief exec down to graduates, and making sure that we fostered through our working groups and our experts in the business the same culture that if someone calls you up and needs you, answer. Don't ignore this, all right? Be there for them, respond. In terms of don't let up and be relentless, our corporate HR strategy is around attract, develop, retain. We've raised the awareness. We've got lots of different learning opportunities available to us, whether that's e-learning, guided learning, accredited professionals through BRE, ownership with those business units and those job families now sits firmly with those guys. BIM has been an against the mainstream concept since 2011 till Monday, as far as I'm concerned. But today I think we're all flying in the right direction. Some a little faster than others, but we're all heading in the same way. So where do we go next? We've got a real focus on Generation Z, the next generation, people coming through. Apprenticeships is key to our kind of strategy from a people perspective. Reflecting back on what David said earlier around the lag in terms of education and how that comes through. This is still not a quick to market solution. So we still need to work with those millennials that exist, empower those people. Just in case anyone was questioning that, I do still fit in the millennials category technically. And from a Generation X perspective, we need to be able to develop and retain these people. Okay, these people are still going to be working in industry for the next 20 odd years. So, you know, these people need to be able to embrace it, and we need to support that. And from a baby boomers perspective, those that are maybe in the twilight of their career in and around the industry, the knowledge that we lose every time a person retires is incredible. So we need to be able to suck that out from a knowledge management perspective and effectively share that across our industry and get apprentices, Generation Z, millennials, sat with these people day in, day out. We need to facilitate that through the procurement of projects, not look at that from a pure cost-based perspective, but actually get these guys sat alongside them. Help each other, I think is the message. This is something we're working with Lang O'Rourke, who are leading on this. Balfour Beatty and Imtech and Carillion ourselves are the kind of leading contractors involved in this. There are other contractors involved and other parties. We are developing a digital engineering technician standard to support industry from an apprenticeship perspective. It's a level 3 standard. It is approved. We are developing the content currently. This should come to market either the end of this year or next year. This is a great step forward. This is not supposed to be the be-all and end-all of BIM. This is supposed to support people to go into either higher education, further education whilst in work, or just straight into industry. Okay, to give them a base level knowledge across the entire built environment and skip past the faculties that exist within the university sector currently. What can we learn around communications? Does anyone get frustrated about communications in the construction industry and commonality of one voice, one action, one goal? Okay, let's learn from a sector that generally, when they really mean it, gets on and does it. Okay, the Strategic Defence and Security Review 2011 articulated their reduction in the regular armed forces by circa 20,000 people, and their increase in the reservist armed forces from 15 to 30,000 by 2020. They're on target, they're delivering this, and what a massive people change in that environment, okay, for a number of things. They've all got together as tri-services, they've all set their targets, they've all understood the goal, they've all understood the types of skills they require, and they're all committed to delivering that outcome, and they're making it happen. It's just a thought, but perhaps we could do something similar. And in summary, taking you through all those 8 steps, whether you believe it or not, from Cotter in terms of that change. Where are we today? We're not there yet. And reflecting on that question of BIM readiness, yeah, we're probably in that tweaking stuff category, I would say. But from a technology perspective, the sector is moving light years ahead of anything that we can actually cope with, and will continue to do so. So let's not try and keep up with it. Let's support those people who are capable of keeping pace with change and give them the opportunity and enable them to develop, and that's what we're trying to do. But from a built environment perspective, I feel like we're still stuck in second gear. So I'm going to leave you with that thought that there's an opportunity to get out of second gear and move forward here, and we're certainly willing to embrace that. But I must admit, I never entered this industry by intention, but I think it's probably one of the most exciting spaces to be in the next 10 years. You know, we have got so much change to go through, and those that can handle change will really, really fly. So thank you for listening, and hopefully that was food for thought.